Hi y'all, this is Larry from deep South Texas. It's getting towards the end of January and we haven't been in the garden for a month. So the first part of the month was pretty busy, and the last 10 days or so I haven't hardly stepped foot in the garden. But let's take a look at what's been happening. So the first couple weeks of the month I was busy changing out my wooden beds in this part of the garden into metal beds. Here's a clip of what the garden used to look like. I know, it looked better before with the wooden beds, but I really changed the layout in here. The beds were up against the fences, and they were very, very hard to weed, and the watering was really inconsistent. So we're going to go with this layout. I've got another metal bed I need to put in over here, but also, because this part of the garden had issues with watering, I decided to start my drip irrigation system over in this half of the garden. And I got some test lines in here the first couple weeks in January just to see how they would work. Actually, I only had them in a couple days before the weather turned cold, but you know, I think it's going to work. This bed here has 3 drip lines that the emitters are 6 inches apart, and that seems to be pretty good. And this end has 2 lines that are, the emitters are 1 foot apart, and I don't know that that's going to be enough, but we'll finish filling up these beds and get that in place and give it a try. And I'll have that drip irrigation set up on this timer. This is the same timer I used before, but I sort of moved it into a place where it's a little bit more accessible, and we'll run 1 line to the drip irrigation system. And I still need to replace these 2 wooden beds. They're pretty much rotten and falling apart, so we'll get that done here in the next couple of weeks as well. And I have potatoes planted in 2 of my new beds already, so they haven't come up yet. I still think it'll be a couple of weeks before they come up, but the potatoes are planted. And not only did the potatoes show up at the garden center, seed potatoes, also onions came in. So my wife never likes to rely on the onions I grow from seed. She always buys a few bundles of onion starts, onion plants, and they got put in the same time as the potatoes. And they're looking pretty good, despite the fact we had a bunch of cold weather for the last 10 days. The onions I've planted from seed are doing real well. I had planned on having these moved around a little bit to even them out by now, but haven't got to that yet. Hope to get to that this week. And the leeks, they need to be transplanted as well. Again, I hope to get to it this week. Everything was delayed here at deep South Texas because of cold and rainy weather that we've had for the last 10 days. So just before that cold weather showed up, I did harvest all my broccoli, just in case. So we've been eating on broccoli for the last 2 weeks. I've left the plants in the ground hoping that they would produce some side shoots, but not many coming out. So the best thing I can think is it's acting as a weed barrier. So as I said, we got a period of cold weather down here at Deep South Texas, with lows in the low 30s and highs in the 40s, and that lasted about 10 days. So in an attempt to protect my bananas, I covered them with moving blankets and plastic wrap. So I'm going to leave them covered up another 3 days, I think. Next Saturday I'll take it off. Should be Friday night. Saturday morning will be our last chance of a freeze down here at Deep South Texas. So I don't know how they'll take to being wrapped up for almost 2 weeks, but this is my first shot at bananas, and I didn't want to lose them. So they look like they're going to be okay. Got some yellowing of the top leaves, but I don't know, the plants still look healthy. And this pup that didn't get wrapped, it looks fine. So I'm going to use that plastic in the garden where I'm putting in the metal beds to cover the pathways, and then I'll cover the plastic with cypress mulch. So right now the garden is not looking too good, but in a few weeks it's going to look great. I also tried to cover up one of our eggplant plants just to make sure it survived into the spring, and you know, there's some eggplants on there. It's looking good, but these eggplants over here I didn't cover because I plan on taking these out here in a couple weeks, and they don't look like they suffered the cold weather at all, so probably wasn't necessary. The carrots had no problem with the cold weather. They're growing just fine. It'll be a while till we harvest them, but they're looking healthy and happy. The horseradish is also looking really good. I hope it's putting on some nice roots. The elephant garlic is looking good. No problem with the cold weather for them. And the cabbages are looking good as well. We should be eating cabbage here within a couple weeks. I harvested some ginger out of this barrel. Didn't really get very much. Didn't do very well this year. I think I will have to plant those elsewhere or move this barrel to a different spot. I started my tomatoes and peppers on January 2nd, and they are past due for being up potted. This is the first nice day we've had in 10 days, so I hope to do that today. But they're looking good and strong. Give them a week to 10 days to get hardened off, and that'll be about time to put them in the garden. So expect to start my spring garden in a couple of weeks, so around sometime the first week in February. I hope to have tomatoes planted, in the garden, and then a week or so after that start planting the peppers, and most of the garden will be planted then. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it that thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.